Donald Trump now holds a nearly 65% chance of winning this election. Kamala Harris's chances have dropped to just 36% chance of winning this election. Donald Trump is absolutely surging higher and higher every single day. He is doing absolutely smart moves. He is making smart decisions. Kamala Harris is just simply not doing the same thing. In fact, she's virtually disappeared over the last couple of days. Nobody seems to know where she is. And if we look here, Trump now holds a 1.1% lead overall in all the battleground states. That is absolutely abysmal news for Kamala Harris. And let's just take a look at where it sits nationally. In the overall for the national popular vote, Kamala Harris holds just a mere 0.9% lead overall nationally. However, we do have, this is very important, Atlas is back again. They have just released their new polls, including where they think the popular vote will go for this election. And we look down here, we've been getting polls like crazy, but just a few days ago, Atlas released their poll, and right here they have Trump up by 3% nationally for the popular vote. If Donald Trump wins the popular vote by 3 percentage points or more, he has a 100% chance of winning this election. However, as it stands for right now, Harris still maintains a 0.9% lead overall nationally for the popular vote. However, despite that, Kamala Harris still maintains a 0.9% lead in the popular vote nationally, but that will not matter whatsoever when it comes to the Electoral College, which will decide this election. And as if that wasn't already bad news enough, even if we look over here, according to 538, a very left-leaning pollster and a predictor, even they have just finally recently admitted that Donald Trump is now the favorite to win, giving him a total of 281 electoral votes, giving him Pennsylvania, Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina. Even they are now admitting that Donald Trump is the favorite to win. And they have it on their website that Donald Trump will win 52 times out of 100. It is obviously much higher than that. Nevertheless, this very left-leaning pollster and predictor has finally also now admitted that Trump is the favorite to win this election. At this point, Trump now leads the polling average, the newest polls, the left-leaning 538, and the poly market. Oh, and of course, the battleground popular vote. Put that all together, then Donald Trump has a virtually no chance of losing this election. And if he wins the popular vote, it is all over. He will have a near 100% chance of winning this election if he wins the popular vote by even by just 1 percentage point. Alright everyone, and right here we now have the map with all the usual states filled in, the ones you would expect, and the states that we have left as toss-ups will be the ones to decide this election. At this point, it is a tie, 202 to 202, so these states that are left will decide this election, and we'll just start off where we usually start off, and that is in the west, moving east, and we'll do Nevada first. Let's go to Nevada. Here in Nevada, you can see right here, clear as day, Donald Trump holds the lead. The newest poll has him up by 2%, and his RCP average has risen to almost a full percentage point at this point. This is one of those states that did not have a lead in for actually a very long time. It was only on October 11th that he retook the lead, and has since then grown to nearly a full percentage point ahead of Kamala Harris. It is no denying that a state, one of the very first states that he lost his lead in after Kamala Harris took over, then that Donald Trump is now going to win this state, and he is now ahead. Chances are he will take this state. Just take a look at where polling market has him placed in. Even when Donald Trump retook the lead, they still had it very close, 51% for Donald Trump, and then he just exploded basically overnight to a massive 63% lead to 37% for Kamala Harris. At this point, there's no denying that Donald Trump is the clear favorite to win Nevada. He will take Nevada by no less than a lean margin. Let's now go to Arizona. Arizona is one of the most likely states that Donald Trump will easily win out of all the battleground states. He holds one of the largest leads in this state. Just look where the newest polls are at. We have this poll by the Wall Street Journal, which is quite left-leaning. Not very, but it is quite left-leaning. But all the other polls, 2, 5, 2, 3. This one is a tie by Atlas, and this one is a 3%. These newest polls by Atlas I still do hold Atlas at a very high level. I do admit though that some of these new polls that Atlas gave out just seem a bit weird. Like usually Atlas confirms what we already know or what we already can see coming, but this time Atlas is kind of the outlier here. And they're neutral. I know they're neutral, but they like, look at this. We have 5, 2, 3, and a tie, and there's no denying that Donald Trump is clearly the favorite to win the state. But the fact that Atlas puts it as a tie, it's strange. In a lot of these other polls, you'll see it. They are a bit of an outlier. Nevertheless, they do still follow the trend for the most part, and they confirm or give a reasonable result for the most part. Although some of them tend to be a bit odd. Two of them specifically, I'll get to those two. I'll get to those two, but two of them are a bit weird. The rest of them are pretty good. This one's also a bit weird, but not as bad. But either way, Donald Trump will clearly still win this state by no less than a lean margin. I predict that he'll take the state by probably around 2 to 3 percentage points, possibly even more, but he will probably win by no less than 2. Let's go now to Georgia. Georgia, Donald Trump holds a massive lead in this state. Every single poll on the board here has him up by a certain amount, and it goes as high as 6%. Some of these, this one, the newest one, has him up by 4%. His RCP average lead is 2.5%. That is a massive lead for a battleground state. Donald Trump will easily take the state of Georgia. This is his biggest lead out of all the battleground states. There's no denying he will easily take this state. And I mean, just look at this. I mean, 74% chance of him winning this state according to the polling market. There's just no competition here in this state whatsoever. It will go Donald Trump. So we will be giving the state to him by a lean margin. I'm even tempted to give it to him by a likely margin. Let's now go to North Carolina. North Carolina, we do have, this is actually, and believe it or not, North Carolina is actually one of the closest states. This is the only state that Donald Trump was able to win in 2016 and 2020. Looking right here, we can see how Donald Trump won this state in 2016 and 2020. This is the only battleground state he won both times. Both times he was able to hold on to this state. But now it is actually one of the closest ones. And most interestingly of all, Atlas, the most reliable pollster I would believe in the world. They have Harris winning the state by 2%. They did this last time in their last polls. They gave this state to Harris. Is for as high of a standard that I hold Atlas, and they've proven themselves of deserving of that high standard. And just, look at their sample. They have a massive sample too. I just don't believe that. I do not possibly believe that North Carolina, the only state that Donald Trump was able to win both times, is going to suddenly flip blue while everything else goes red. Not going to happen. There's no way that Donald Trump is going to lose the state. He does still hold the RSP average lead, and all these other polls have him winning the state as well. Insider Advantage, Rasmussen, Trafalgar, the Hill, and Emerson, which is a left-leaning. Hill and Emerson is left-leaning. Wall Street Journal, which is also left-leaning, has it as a tie. I just do not see this possibly happening. So I will be giving this state to Donald Trump, but by only a tilt margin. So I'm going to predict that I'm going to follow what it says and say that it will go to Donald Trump, but only by a very slim margin. So it might get closer than it was before, but it will still go to him. While we're at it, we're also going to give the 2nd District of Nebraska to Kamala Harris by a tilt margin, or sorry, by a lean margin. And while we're let's now go to Ohio now. Here in Ohio, I just feel I put it up there because why not? I left both Minnesota and Ohio as toss-ups. Just so we can go through, we know that these are the states where the running mates, the vice presidents, are from. Tim Walz are from Minnesota. Vance is from Ohio, so I figure why the heck, I'll put both of them on here anyways, even though we already know where both states are going to go, at least for the most part. They can't get competitive, but we can see Ohio is going to be an extremely likely state. There's just no way. Donald Trump will easily win this state by a likely margin. Now with that, let's go to Virginia. It's been a while since we got a new poll from Virginia, and these newest polls are just completely skewed. The only two polls on here that make any sort of sense are the ones that are 3 and 2%. These 8 and 11% polls are just absolutely ridiculous. I explained in my previous videos why this is ridiculous, how this is a grotesque overestimation of Democrats. It's absolutely ridiculous. This state is going to be very much so, it's going to be a competitive state. It will probably go to Harris, but it's going to be a competitive state. It will not be anywhere near what this says. Joe Biden won the state by 10.1% at a time when Democrats were in the best position they could possibly ask for, and he won the state by, and that is a big victory. And don't get me wrong, that is a big victory. I mean, it really is. I mean, here, the fact that Joe Biden was able to win the state by that much really shows that Democrats, at least at that time, still had a strong hold over this state. But that is not the case anymore, because they have now elected so many Republicans to their states, to the state government, like the Attorney General and the governor. It shows that the Democrats do not hold the same grip on Virginia that they did before. Virginia is shifting to the right, and the Democrats are as a whole in a lot worse position than they were 4 years ago. So that, I'll put that all together. Yes, Virginia will probably still go to Kamala Harris, but not by anywhere near what those polls say. It will probably be no more than 3 percentage points. I will be giving the state to her by a lean margin. Let's now go to Minnesota. Minnesota, it's clear that Kamala Harris is obviously in the lead here. However, don't forget, this is where her running mate is from, Tim Walz. The fact that the state is below, let's say, 8% at all, or 5%, the fact that this state is a lean state, not a likely state, when her running mate is from that state, is a very bad sign for Kamala Harris. The whole point of picking a person from a state like Minnesota is so that you can pretty much guarantee it's going to go to you. But that margin is not a guarantee margin. Trump has won states with worse margins before. So there's no denying that this is not a good sign for Kamala Harris. And this reflects across the entire country, as you clearly can see. So yes, the state will go to Kamala Harris by a lean margin, but that is just not good. She wants to win the state by a lot. She needs to win the state by a lot more than that to show that she's gonna do better. But the fact that Donald Trump actually has a chance of winning the state, not much of one, probably by 15%, 15% at most. Either way, the fact that he has a chance of winning the state at all is really bad sign for Kamala Harris. So let's now go to the three major states that we have left. We'll just look where it is right now. Donald Trump is at 268 electoral votes. Kamala Harris is at 226. At this point, if she wants to win the election, she needs to win all three of these states to get 270 exactly. Donald Trump needs just one to win this election. Let's start with Wisconsin. Here in Wisconsin, that's a lot. That's a lot of ties in the polls. That's Wall Street Journal, Hill Emerson. These are left-leaning polls too. The Hill Emerson and Wall Street Journal. They all have a tie, but so does Insider Advantage. Tie. We have two Trumps. We have two here that Trump at the head. And here again, this is one of the polls that. This is the other one. The first one was North Carolina. This is the other one where Atlas still has Harris winning the state. However, their sample here is actually quite small compared to their other ones, so that should be taken to a note. But also, they do have Atlas does have Harris winning the state. And granted, this is the closest one out of all the battleground states. Wisconsin is the closest one out of all the battleground states. So yes, Harris does still hold a chance. This is her out of all the battleground states. This is her best chance at winning this one. She has the best chance at winning Wisconsin. Not that will matter because she needs all three anyways of the blue wall states. With the lead that Donald Trump has in Michigan, which we'll get to in a second, I just do not see this as possible. I mean, I'll show you what Atlas Intel's poll was for Michigan. Just see, and you'll see how crazy that is. So this is obviously a bit hard to believe. I'm gonna say that Donald Trump will still take the state of Wisconsin by a tilt margin. It's gonna be close, but it's hard to say that he's gonna lose the state of Wisconsin when he has a big lead in Michigan, which we're gonna get to that right now. And at this point, Trump already wins the election with 270 electoral votes. He will not need Michigan or Pennsylvania if he can win these states. But let's obviously, of course, go over them anyways. Before we do that, let's check out a polling market real quick. And you can just see here, Donald Trump holds a clear lead. He has almost a 50% chance of winning the state. Kamala Harris just 42% chance. It's gonna at the end of the day, it's hardly gonna be close. At least according to polling market, it's gonna be hardly even close. So with that, let's now go to Michigan. And here, just look at Michigan. We have not had a poll with Kamala Harris leading since all the way down here with the Wall Street Journal, which is left-leaning. And just look at Atlas's poll. A 3% lead for Donald Trump in Michigan. That is at the edge of the margin of error. That is absolutely insane for Donald Trump to hold that kind of a lead in Michigan while also possibly not holding the lead in Wisconsin, at least according to Atlas. That's why I think Atlas just got weird with these newest polls. It's hard. How can Trump be ahead by 3% in Michigan but not leading in Wisconsin? Atlas for the first time literally ever, I have some questions for Atlas, but I still hold them at a very high standard, and this sample is almost double what the other one was. So you can see here this one is very large, and it does have Trump leading by 3% in the state of Michigan. That is a massive margin for Donald Trump in this state. If he wins Michigan, it's over. He will win. He will win this election. There is no denying it whatsoever. So we will be giving the state of Michigan to Donald Trump by a lean margin. Let's now go to Pennsylvania. I mean, here in Pennsylvania, it's the same story. 3% lead across the board for all these polls. All these newest polls have Trump leading by 3%. His lead overall is now 0.8%. And the reason why Trump is doing so in the state is that he really is focusing in on this state specifically, on Pennsylvania. He's putting a lot of it in. And just the other day, Donald Trump worked the shift at McDonald's, for God's sakes. And then a minute after that, he went to the Steelers game, which we won. So it's obviously he's pulling stunts like that while also campaigning at the same time, and it's really boosting his popularity like crazy. So there's no denying Trump will win the state of Pennsylvania. Let's look at polling market. Donald Trump holds a 62% chance of winning this state. That is absolutely insane. Kamala Harris is down to just 40% at this point, and really it should be 38% at that point. But there's just no way Donald Trump is going to lose the state of Pennsylvania. This election is effectively already over. His chances of winning should be closer to 100% at this point, especially if he is in fact leading in the popular vote. If that's the case, then this election is over effectively. So with that, everyone, this is your election right here, according to all the most accurate information that we have, the news information we have, polling market. Everything we have shows that Donald Trump is going to clearly win this election. Everything has him winning, and even 538 has him winning, polling market has him winning, the polls have him winning. everything has him winning. And the newest polls and the polling average both have him winning. So there's just no way Donald Trump is going to lose this election. At this point, we are now just 2 weeks from election night. If Donald Trump needs to do is just not do something crazy or stupid. And Kamala Harris just, I don't know what she's doing. She just seems like she stopped trying. Really, I don't know. She just disappeared the last couple of days, or over the last like 2 weeks. She just kind of like disappeared. Really, so it's hard to say how she can turn this around. But again, 2 weeks is still a good bit of time. She might pull something crazy and turn this around. We'll see. But right now, if the election was to be held right now, Trump would easily win the election in what is a modern day landslide, effectively. So with everyone, this is your election map. I want to thank you all for coming by. Of course, I want to ask you all to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification, of course, and of course, leave a comment, share with all your friends. Thank you guys for being here. I'm going to go right now, and work on my Russian-Ukraine war update, because we got major news going over there as well. Major news happening over in the Russia-Ukrainian war. So I'm going to go deal with that right now. So thank you guys for coming by. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.